Hi everyone at hashtag Be1Less News and hashtag CDC Whistleblower. And for right now, while we are killing bills in California, hashtag SP277 with hashtag mine. Those not in California, go to hashtag SP277 and hashtag mine, pull the generic memes and reports, and simply retweet them with your hashtag, whatever the name of your particular bill is, and get your people utilizing the international effort that has extended from hashtag CDC Whistleblower into killing all these bills. I'm here with @Tanner's dad, Timothy Welsh, and it looks like he has some breaking news here. Tim, what is this you got going on?
Well, one of the steps in the process for the approval and vote on SB 277 is the Appropriations Committee. You have to say to the establishment how you're going to fund something. And in this case, on Friday or thereabouts, they decided to skip the appropriations, saying that it's not going to cost the state anything by shifting the bill back to the local school boards and their excessive and large, deep pockets that they have at the local school board. We know our school boards, our school systems are just overflowing with local money, so they decided to shift it back to them.
So what's happening now is this shell game is continuing at epic speed with more money than we've ever seen thrown at something. We've never seen our legislators and representatives be less representative of the will of the people, as was demonstrated at all three of the hearings. The appropriation hearing was supposed to be this coming week. We had people calling every single day, all day, to make sure we were on top of the date, because we would expect another 1,000 people to show up simply to demonstrate solidarity at the appropriations. When what happened is, as you can see here, they simply started pretending like SB 277 is not going to cost anything to the state by crossing things out. This is Section 7, and what they crossed out is, if the Commission on State Mandates determines that this act contains costs mandated by the state, reimbursement to local agencies and school districts for those costs shall be made pursuant to Part 7. So basically what they're saying is, we don't anticipate that SB 277 will cost any money. We're going to put it off to the school boards, and which is basically cities. So these different cities, like LAUSD is a huge school district. They had already passed in support with SB 277, but they had passed SB 277 while it included a safety net for all costs that might come into play. The one number that we have never been able to locate, because it's not publicly available, is the number of IEPs that also have PBEs, and that's the personal belief exemption. When you multiply those numbers in your school district with your school board, with your local representatives, they will figure out the number of families who will sue the district, because now they have taken the state out of the equation in this bill and are saying that this falls on the different cities because there's really no cost. We actually think they may have done this to try to speed up the process to avoid what's going to happen on the 16th at the Democratic State Convention, where there's going to be thousands of us that are going to show up to clearly demonstrate our displeasure with, for probably 90% of the people fighting this are lifelong Democrats who are finally researching into the money that's behind the Democratic Party in the state of California and how it's simply not representing the will of the people in California. So many have speculated that this was designed to have the vote be next Thursday, most likely, to precede the state convention so that they could slip it through the Senate and pretend like it's not an issue by the time they get to the state convention. So I didn't really want to talk about her. So this is the math on this. And the math is when you multiply the number of IEPs in the state, which is shy of 1 million, and one of the ways we are going to move the needle on this is there are millions of children that don't have IEPs that should in fact have IEPs, and that's just going to be your teaser. California special ed is where you get this number of IEPs, because what people need to do is they need to go to their school boards, they need to go to their city councils, they need to find these people in person, and they need to sit down with this map, and they need to show them the bill and explain that this squarely lands on these small districts now. So this number right here, number of IEPs, California special ed, times the percent with PBEs, which is 4.5%, which is California vax rate, and you come up with this number, 31,738. We know that that number is a gross underestimate. We know that that number is probably closer to 100,000. But you can't argue that quickly. So this is a big enough number to move forward with having them understand quickly what the challenges are. And what the challenge is you're going to have people that have IEPs that cost between $65,000 and $100,000 for the diagnosis of autism, that have PPEs, whose parents are not going to go and get a medical exemption, but they are going to simply stand their ground. They're going to stay in the school system, and they're going to wait to see how this plays out, and the lawyers are going to happily line up to be on the payout side of the litigation that's going to follow this, because it's going to get ugly and it's going to get expensive really quickly. If you want to see how ugly and expensive it can get, you can go to tinyurl.com/7millionpaid, which is a community in California that fought with a family over IEP services. It went all the way to the federal government, and the city was mandated to pay all of the legal fees associated with that. And this was over not an IEP for a child with autism, but an IEP over a child with a learning challenge that simply needed some extra reading classes that they denied. The parents dug their heels, and it ended up being a $7 million price tag for that particular community. And that particular community would probably be one of the first ones that would deal with these legal challenges, if I were to guess. So, here's some of the things we're finding on Twitter. The lawyers are celebrating that SB 270.
Can I ask one philosophical question?
Sure.
Is this a case of, in all their bag of tricks, lie, deny, smoke screen, all those things, is this just classic divide where they couldn't pass a mandate adult and children vaccine at the federal level, so then they take it to the state level, so then now they couldn't pass this straight bill at the state level, and they're just passing the buck down to make the fight at the city level? I mean, our voice is pretty united at the federal level, and then you just go down and down and down.
It's absolutely that. If you go to Healthy People 2020, or you watch the video tinyurl.com/healthy2020, which is 2020, you're going to see that the federal government has had plans to impact the state politics in a way to get 100% immunization rate across the entire population. That's their stated objective. They funnel money through a group called NACCHO, N-A-C-C-H-O, that then goes into these nonprofits that then feeds the beast at the state level. What they've recognized is that the easiest way to grow what they're trying to do is to grow it like a cancer, more like leukemia than brain cancer. And you go in and you put the responsibility and the cost for carrying out these mandates onto these communities. So you mandate it at the state level, but the cost and the responsibility for implementation goes on to the school districts that are not in the position to deal with the cost of this. The reason why this is so important right now is because all we ever need to focus on when we're doing these types of activist campaigns, and I thank Zena for teaching this, is where's your leverage point? Where do we have leverage to move the needle? And we did not have the school boards on our side. The school boards, the teachers' unions, all these different groups were continuing to take their big chunks of change from Big Pharma and support these bills. It was about money. It was not about reality. This changes everything. This is the biggest leverage point we have had to date on all of this. The fact that we can go and make appointments with our individual, this is not making appointments with your senators and your assemblymen. This is making appointments with your school board, with your city council. All those people that were lining up to support SB 277, like I had a meeting with a subgroup of the school board on Wednesday. And this was what I was warning them about, but they didn't believe it. Now they can simply go to the language of the bill. So if you go here to SB 277 language, you're going to see all of so that's the link that you can use with these legislators, with your school board people, to show them the current language of the bill, to point out that you scroll to the bottom and it's right there. It's right there. And it doesn't take a brain surgeon to figure out that if you go from showing them the actual way that it's written and then you show them these two numbers, they're going to quickly realize they're in deep doo-doo, because these schools get sued all the time over stuff, but usually they're able to mediate through it. This is going to be a full-on war pushback where people will not agree to mediation because there's going to be lawyers on our side knowing that this will be decided at the federal level in the federal courts, and with that will come discovery, which is what we all want. All we want is for the data around vaccine safety to be the light of day, fully illuminated. So this is huge. This is a huge leverage point, but only if they're notified. So this is tinyurl.com/SB277 drafts, because it has all the amended one. There was some question about the daycare centers being included in there now, which we didn't see in the beginning, but I think we just missed it. But this is /SB277 drafts. So we have this one, which is language, and then this one, which is drafts, to go look through the different versions. Now let's go. Tim does a bunch of analytics. Can you tell us about the analytics on some of the memes from yesterday?
Again, I just look at how things are tweeting and who is looking at things, and this was one of our most retweeted memes yesterday. And again, it's just catching people's attention. It's got all the 5 things that we look for, that it's got the hashtag SB277. It's kind of got the current event with the kind of hamburger looking guy that's a new thing that's out, and then it kind of connects with every tiny URL there that kind of gives documentation behind what is happening.
And I think whenever you can visually take people from point A to point E, it works really well in a visual, because I know we have a lot of new people that are interested in making infographics and memes, and I think they're absolutely on the right track as far as if you can take your billboard on Twitter and have it include references for a follow the bouncing ball type of trajectory, where you say you start here and it ends up here, and for every data point that you give along that bouncing ball, you also give a reference, like this one does, Vax Liability, Anti-Vaxxers, Vaxman Doc. Then what they can do is they take in the concept, and then what they do is they go check the individual links. The beauty of this is the individual links are as important as the initial concept. So that's really huge. So let's keep going what we have here. Okay, so now here's one of the most important things moving forward today. We need to educate the world what just happened on Friday as far as the bill, that now the state is pretending this is going to not cost anything. So we need to clearly describe how it's going to cost money, which is this meme right here, giving them the data on how this is going to cost the state of California money. Then we give them the data on how this is not going to cost the state of California money. This is going to cost individual school districts that will be bankrupt from this process, with nothing in the bill that suggests the state is willing to pick up the tab for any of this. And you have to realize that the novelty of SB 277 was easy when money was coming in to grease their palms. The reality of SB 277, if it's potentially going to cost them a ton of money, is a completely different thing. So how we do this on Twitter is we take these memes, you can find them at Tanner's Dad Today is where we've seen them. And what you do is you go to wefollow.com and you put in different words that are going to start to get it out to the different people we need it to. One of them is school. So you can put wefollow.com and you're going to simply create a tweet or start retweeting from Timothy's memes, the concept, and you're going to start adding these different handles for Twitter that will start to get the word out to the world of education that we've got a problem right here, that the world of education needs to help their cities fight personally with their legislators. Here's one, teachers. Teachers is another word, because what's happening now is the teachers are finally waking up to the reality they are next. When I was at this school board medical meeting, in their minutes from the meeting prior, it clearly said that they want to add the expectation that all teachers follow the exact same schedule as their students. So teachers need to wake up now and get active before they become the nurses and they're behind the ball, and it's within 2 years it will be mandated that all teachers across the United States are mandated to do the full adult schedule unless they really get busy now. And this is how we activate them. Then you can go here, there's California politics, there's all kinds of things in California. And then, of course, politics is another one. These are ways to get the word out. Just start picking the people with the highest scores. And then we checked autism, and oh my goodness, there's Tanner's Dad, who we love.
But at this point, again, I'm not ego-wise or anything else like that. The fact that the brand Tanner's Dad is #2 in autism, ahead of Autism Speaks, that spends has all the Ad Council dollars going their ways, just makes me tear up. And the fact that you guys are supporting us in this fight, that a dad in the middle of a bean field who's doing a podcast with a passionate mother from California, fighting these things for a decade and a half, to make that up there where it's in the top 3 ahead of Autism Speak is just incredible, that it moves the needle that one person can make a difference. So by going to your school board and your community now, you can make that difference in your community, that we're not going to have 54% of the kids being chronically ill is the tipping point where everybody should be, again, getting passionate about what's going on.
And this meme right here is really all you need to draft your letter. This meme is not designed to be what you take to your school board, of course. But what it is designed to do is stimulate interest in the concept, so that Twitter will establish that there's an issue here, and it'll begin to raise a red flag that there's a problem. People will then start to write articles about this. In the meantime, some of these bigger groups, SB277.org, our Family Our Choice, Our Kids Our Choice, will be drafting really well-crafted letters so that by Monday, We should have somebody that's going to be knocking on the door of every single office at every single school board and every single city council. There should be nobody that's on a city council or on a school board that doesn't have a drop-by visit with a letter in hand that includes who their senator and who their assembly member is. Because now what will happen is you're going to notify them that this is going to cost a fortune for their small community. When they really are able to recognize what just got laid at their lap, they are going to pick up the phone and they are going to call their senator, and they're going to be patched right through to their senator and right through to their assembly member. It's not going to be a no, I don't have time for you. It will happen immediately, and suddenly all of these senators and assembly members will be like, what the hell just happened? Because they aren't keeping track of this. They don't know that it just slippery slimed through appropriations because they're not paying attention. There are
Grandmother used to have a saying that nothing good happens after midnight. I think we should amend that where nothing suddenly appears in the public realm after noon on Friday afternoon. They think that the media cycle is 24 hours. So when they release something bad, they always release it either behind the smokescreen of another big news or on Friday afternoon. In the decade and a half we've been working on this, I've seen this happen so many times where they release something that's terrible news. If the autism rates go up 100% in a year, and they've counted it that way and they've released it, they're going to release it at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Friday afternoon. And so something appears on so that they don't think anybody works on Saturday and Sunday.
Well, they're sorely mistaken, because the people I know that are working on this are 24/7. They wake up at 5 in the morning with ideas of how they can move the needle. They show up anywhere and everywhere that they hear there might be a demonstration about this. These people are not going anywhere. And if they think for a second that they're not going to use the legal framework that's going to be established if SB 277 passes, to take this all the way to the federal level to fight the federally pushed vaccine mandate it gives us the framework. If I were a legislator, I would be like, holy shit, has nobody thought about the fact that SB 277 will give the other side the opportunity to basically create lawsuits around this? All it takes is one kid with a $100,000 IEP that has a PBE. They go to that mom and they say, hey, we'd like to use your child as a test case. So all we need you to do is just show up to school and say, I have a personal belief against vaccines. What do we do now? And they're going to not know what to do, so it will end up in a legal fight. They have not thought through the logistics of what happens when these parents continue to refuse to vaccinate and then still show up at school. Not only that, but people are going to start recognizing really quickly that the IEP process is open to anyone. And I think I will just leave that as a teaser to another tool that we have in our arsenal that we have not played yet. Anything else, Tim?
No, I thank you, and I think this is a really impactful moment. Again, we've been riding the wave with a lot of highs and lows, and to me, this is a moment where watershed, and
this is a twister moment. This is a twister moment for the state of California. This is the moment when they should wake up on Tuesday morning and go, oh my God, we screwed up this time, because every single senator got a phone call from their school boards, from their city councilmen saying, kill this bill. But it requires serious organization on our part to make that happen, so let's make that happen. See you on Twitter.